we've connected the power again. We don't need Will Ferrell or Terry
It's
Crews.
that's true. We are Will Ferrell. We are Terry Crews.
Yeah.
Oh, we did it. We made it.
But yeah, no, that's my yeah, like the undertone of violence, and it's just like Coachella sad, pop culture sad, pop
Which,
culture fun, pop culture
good
sad.
day. Good day to be talking about pop culture sad. Because if there was one thing that said, wait, pop culture sad? It was getting smacked in the face by tortured poets. So happy 2 years to the album that
Yes,
made
so
me
true, so
lie
true.
flat on the floor.
Flat on the floor. Just when you thought she was at the top of her game, she was depressed.
I mean, I just
Uh,
how will I ever recover from like, is that you? Is that your key in the door? Or have they come to take me away? Oops, they did. They did. The opening line, I've been taken
oh, they
away.
did. Just kidding. Yeah.
Like my
No,
eyes
that
well up right now, 2 years later, thinking about hearing that and just being like, oh, like what? It's just, I don't
it's
know,
such
man.
a
It
good
still gets me.
album. It's such a
It's
good album. And it's my favorite Taylor album. I'm saying it,
yes.
including I'm saying it. Yeah.
Claim it.
And I try to be nice to Showgirl, but Showgirl stresses me out much more than Tortured Poets. Like I love Tortured and Showgirl stresses me out.
Does it have to do with like the authenticity level? I'm just thinking
I
about like
think that's I
myself.
think that's it. And I
Yeah.
think yeah, I think that's it. And I think yeah. I mean, yeah.
Are there other layers to it?
Um, I don't know. Yeah. I think it is the authenticity layer. I mean, well, and I think it's just the fact I think it's just the whiplash from them following each
Oh.
other. It's the whiplash that upsets. I think that upsets me because it's like Tortured Poets is like, I'm gonna do my trauma work, and then it's just like, just kidding. It's happy the entire time. And I'm just like, oh no, what? Um,
Yeah.
so it's just
It's
like I'm
almost
gonna write 40 songs about how depressed I am. And then they're like, just kidding, I met a man, and I'm like, I know that's not like what happened.
I don't know why it didn't occur to me sooner. So shout out to everyone who already maybe thought about this, but
Yeah.
the showgirl, she's in like if she's in the mental institution tortured poet, showgirl's just like
Right.
a hallucination, delusion, memory, fantasy.
Hmm.
I
Well,
can't
and
believe
she's
I didn't think
obviously
of that.
dressed up as Clara Bow in the mental institution too. So
Yeah.
In Fortnite, she's clearly yeah, Clara Bow-ish. So she's been a showgirl the whole time. It's just the veneer falling.
The whole like Clara Bow of it all. I think that she first referenced Clara Bow during Lover because
Ooh,
she had that photo shoot where she had that like giant pink flower neck
yes.
thing where it just
Oh,
takes up her entire neck.
incredible look.
And Clara Bow, I think it's called Parisian Love. She has a film where she has that floral thing on her neck the whole film.
Ooh.
And it's not the same shirt that Taylor's wearing in the Lover era, but the shirt that
Mhm.
Clara Bow wears, remember in Midnight's where she kind of stands like and kind of has her hands like on her hips or something and like and she looks like a gay pirate just kind of like posing. Oh, how do I describe that? It's like multi a pastel multicolored shirt in like stripes and it's got weird
Mm.
ruffly top. Anyway, it's part of
Mm.
Midnight's photo shoot. I yeah, to me it's the gay pirate photo.
I
She's just
feel
like
like that. I feel like that doesn't help me narrow it down because I feel like that's a lot of photos
you
of
know,
her.
props
But
to her
yeah.
for making a lot of gay pirate photos.
I mean,
Um,
it's my aesthetic. It's my favorite aesthetic,
Thank
basically.
God. Thank God. What a great aesthetic. No, but the shirt that Claire Bowes wears in that film reminds me of the
Yeah.
Midnight's aesthetic. We can
Okay.
look into the film specific, and it's so to me
Okay.
it's like this
Okay.
fusion of like Lover Midnights. But I do think we're coming back around. Like I think we are coming back around to 2019 to Lover. There was something. there's things that, oh, I know what it was. Kacey Musgraves Coachella set yesterday played so much of, wow, words are escaping me. What is that album called? The best Kacey Musgraves album.
Yeah, I
She
don't know
played
who
a
that's
lot.
girl.
She played a lot from one of her albums that I just, sometimes we forget things.
Yeah.
Um, Let me look it up.
Golden Hour, is that one?
That's the best one. That's the
Okay.
one.
I don't even know. Yeah. I have
I
I
had
have I have
she
a
had
very
same transit.
peripheral awareness of Casey.
Yes, it was her fourth album, but her third one was a Christmas album. So,
Oh, doesn't
and
really
before that, she
count.
had Pageant Material, which was the only words I had in my head, which was 2015. And her debut, Same Trailer, Different Park. But Golden Hour was the album that she was promoting during 2019 and started touring and stuff. So, her playing predominantly Golden Hour songs at Coachella yesterday was beautiful, surprising, and also made me think we're coming back around. Like, we have re-entered this. I'm working on a quadrant system, as many people are, but I think we've re-entered this the quadrant that includes 2019. So yeah,
Interesting.
I think people are doing things. But yeah, I love Kacey Musgraves. I mean, she is the reason why I knew that Taylor was gay when 1989 came out, because Follow Your Arrow had come out like 8 months prior, and everyone knew that Kiss Lots of Boys or Kiss Lots of Girls, if that's something you're into,
Right.
was gay. And so when You Can Want You Want, Boys and Boys, Girls and Girls came out, it was like, yes, these are the same lyrics, and people just didn't see them that way, which has been the plight of Taylor's career. But yeah,
The
I love
blight.
love Kacey. Love Kacey. If you're unfamiliar with her music, if you're out there listening and want to know more about Kacey, I described her yesterday as being one of my favorite artists because she makes me feel like I'm in a embrace of light. Like, even if things are maybe like harder topics, like I feel held through that experience.
Mm.
And some songs, they like break you open, and that you need that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a place to be like safe and to like go on like maybe like some gentle tears, if any, down your face, but mostly I
Mm.
just feel
I
really
could see that.
positive. And I love a little twang. I love a cowgirl like me. A cow
A
they,
little
as they
a
were.
cow day. That's a cow day.
Shout out to Claudia for teaching us
Yeah.
about cow days. Love that. Love you.
So
So good.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We're coming back around to Torture Poets. We're coming back around to 2019. We're just, time is not linear, as we know.
It's yeah, as we know, we're thinking a lot about time loops and black holes and I don't know, all of that thing about like, yeah, the past intersecting and going it back into the past and healing parts of yourself in the past and using that to springboard the future and yeah, I don't know, it's so funny seeing all these loops and also just like astrology is just so like tied into patterns too. It makes you be like, oh no, like cycles are repeating. Like
Right.
working within those, but also I don't know. Yeah.
I was just thinking about Madonna's astrology and
Yeah.
that like brought back around.
Yeah, that was weird. Well, and that sent me on a loop too with her saying like the moon was in Taurus, but she was just saying it was a new moon. So she got the phase of the moon. I thought wrong. I mean, I think if you were doing it with a very generous technical approach, then you could technically say, because it was hard because the moon was at the new moon, which is by definition the meeting of the sun and the moon. That's what it means to have a new moon, which is the opposite of the full moon, which is when the sun and the moon are opposite each other. So they're either curled up in an embrace or at the other side of the hemisphere, whatever. But yeah, the new moon was right at the end of Aries, so it was like 29 Aries. So
Mm.
then it was just like a little bit. Some people are like, well, still a new moon, even if it's not in the same sign. And I'm just being rigid technical person and saying it's not.
I mean,
So
this is the debate. I mean, I'm looking at
the
a whole
nitty gritty,
Reddit, like
the
people are
nitty
debating
gritty.
whether she was right or not. If you missed it, what like is the
Yeah.
astrology that she mentioned correct? And,
Well,
like I said, Reddit is popping off about it. Alyssa
I'm
has
glad they're
thoughts.
popping off because I feel like I'm the only person who is like having a migraine. Because
I
I
mean,
think what she was trying to
mm,
do was saying like, oh, let's do like I think she was conflating a few things. I just think she's not like a very like hyper technical astrologer, and she was trying to be like, let's bring good vibes. And I'm like, but
yeah.
you can't just be like astrology has to be good vibes because it's very much not good vibes.
Okay, this is so interesting because I mean, the I am of the consensus. I'm of the mind. I think that she knew exactly what she was doing. And I'm
Right?
not the astrology expert. Like I do defer to you, but I think from like a new romantics lens, regardless of what she said, I think what she was trying to say, like the fact that the astrology is like so like, well, it's like, we were on that edge. There's that plausible deniability, right? But
Mhm.
I am so fascinated by what Mari shared in that when she
Right.
performed 20 years ago in 2006, that was the astrology of when she was performing.
Yeah.
So this idea of like looping back around
Right?
is just
It's fascinating.
whether she
And
intended to or not, it is
I
very
think, I
fascinating.
mean, I don't know. I feel like I lost yeah, I don't quite have a beat on Madonna. But I do think I would, I was thinking about this too, like, it does sound, I do feel like she was trying to shoehorn it to fit her own purposes and her own narrative. And maybe
Mm.
she was just like, it's close enough. I don't know. I don't know how deep she goes into astrology. I know she was into Kabbalah for a while, right? But yeah, I don't know. So that, and then also it sent me down the spiral, which reminded me, this is my very like galaxy brain take, she reminded me of Taylor talking about how the moon works in her NYU commencement speech in 2022, which was
Oh,
a big canon event for me because it was more it helped made me think there's a lot of like, very very explicit like textual references to Dante in that speech, and that's one of them. And that sent
mm.
me on the because like the beginning of Paradise is literally Dante talking for like 3 chapters about how he thinks the moon works.
Incredible.
And there's
Incredible.
all these other like textual allusions. Like there's a lot. I was just like, why? This is clearly someone who's just like, I don't know. So that sent me down that rabbit hole. So I
And
don't
that
even
speech
know.
is that speech is staccato. It's like
Oh,
she's like putting a bunch of Legos together and she's like, does a speech this make? And it's like, well, it's a bunch of Lego quotes from Dante, like just stacked quotes up.
yeah.
Like it has
It's
that
just
feeling.
free association word.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, interesting. I don't think she actually did this, but it made me think about Dadaism and cut up technique, and if it's
Right?
just like a bunch of like, did she just throw a bunch of things she wanted to say about Dante, etc., into a bag and then pulled out the order, Like
I
I think
think so. I mean,
interesting.
yeah. And I like it, but it's just funny because and I think a lot of it seems kind of shoehorned in because there were so many Easter eggs and like random
Mm.
lyrics from Midnights that we didn't know about. And you're like, that seems like an awkward way to phrase something. And she was like, how many things can I jam into this? But I don't know. We're still. So anyway, that was my very galaxy brain take. Was like, she's bringing up the moon again. And then I think there's also like this thing with sort of, it's interesting. I was talking about the lineage of her VMA performance of like a virgin where she wears a veil and like the boy toy outfit, and then that transferring to Brittany and Christina,
Hmm.
um, doing that VMA with the same thing, and randomly Missy Elliott was there, which I had forgotten. Sorry, Missy, to forget you.
It's
You
because
were
she
part
didn't
of
get
that,
kissed. She's in the performance, but it's not until after the kiss, so people always
right?
forget. But
People
all I have to
forget.
say about Missy is that baby girl,
I
all the
know.
mosaics, all of them.
Yeah. And then Madonna comes out dressed as the groom, and I was just like, oh, is Madonna trans? And I just never thought about it. maybe.
That
So
feels like a deep effect of hanging out with me. Wait,
I
is
feel,
Madonna trans? So you're welcome or my bad,
I know.
depending.
This is your agenda all along.
Uh, I mean, I
Well,
do
now,
think,
well,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, when someone's just like, I'm gonna go from this hyper femme, like bride, to now being the man in the tux. I have to think this person hasn't been on a ginger journey.
I mean, that's what I have to say about the 50-50 gendered outfits at Sabrina's show. It's like, so are Sabrina Carpenter fans watching that and just being like, yay? Like, is there, I don't understand, but good luck. Good
Mm.
luck, babe, on all that.
Well, does she? She doesn't wear anything hyper masculine in the show.
No, she just has dancers that are
Oh
like
yeah.
dressed 50-50,
Oh yeah, that's true.
which
Oh
is
yeah, like
just,
the Victoria things. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. I was thinking about House Tour where she's wearing a suit, which is a separate thing.
I mean,
Um,
right. I think she does a lot of
right.
drag
Right. There's a lot of
when,
drag.
well, what I'm saying is when she is not being on stage and we see her street style, we've
Mm.
seen her sometimes like do hyper masculine drag because she's doing
Mm-hmm.
have for femme
Yeah.
drag right now. But I think she intentionally, like, we know she's still on a stage on the street, but I think she like sometimes drops that to continue to be on the, she's like,
Okay.
oh, look at this like masculine drag that I'm doing too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
I
I think it was
do.
after the Grammys when she was with Jenna in the
After
suit
I've
and the
been after the
cigar.
Met Gala.
Well,
Was it?
fancy
Yeah, I
events.
don't
I
know.
you
Whatever.
you know the
I know
suit where she's like
I have the visual. I got
the visual. Yes,
the
I appreciate
visual.
your details. You always know them.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like there's a whole gender aspect of it. And then there's also, is it just like being male coded is sort of like a proximity to power and now I've become quote unquote the man and
Mm,
I'm at the top of the totem pole because I've gained this power through this sort of like hyper femininity that was somewhat subjugative and had an undertone of violence.
right.
And
Oh,
now I can wear my Marlene Dietrich tux and be like on the top of the pyramid, but I'm still like not refashioning it because why do we associate maleness with power? Here we are.
I mean, it is wild that you have to like put money in the heteronormative bank in order to withdraw your queer freakness, you know? Like, she couldn't just roll up day
Yep.
one, Sabrina, as like a cigar smoking baller. Like, she had to invest all of this time and money into the like
No.
facade. And it's like, holy schmoly. Oh my God. Okay, here's what I have to say about Madonna. Because Madonna,
Yeah.
ugh, the most curious thing in all of the like, is Madonna involved? Like, was Madonna just going off about astrology? Like, I think a lot of the general population is like, oh, Madonna just went on a ramble, and Sabrina was like, okay, I guess we're just like letting you yap. And I don't think that's necessarily wrong because it seems like an odd portion, like the way they're standing, like it seems like an odd part of the
Mm.
Coachella performance for her to just like do a monologue like that.
Mm.
I, of course, want to just like keep pulling it back further and be like, okay, but what if they designed it to look like it was like a little off the cuff so you would think that and think she was just spieling, but really she's like turning us back in time and it's 2000, anyway, I love to be a conspiratorial thinker. Um,
Yeah.
and with Madonna and like the thing about her involvement is that Taylor Swift on Directors, what it leaked early the day after the Grey War episode. Anyway, let's get to the point. Midnight Blue. I can't stop talking about Midnight Blue, which was created by it wasn't created, it was popularized by a king in the UK who was a veteran of the Great War and abdicated in 1936 and was gay. And Madonna directed a film about his life and the life of his beard. Their names were Wallace and Edward, and the film's W.E. And I just think it's interesting that Madonna has this connection to this like queer king that Taylor referenced through Midnight Blue. And then shortly after both of those things happened, well, Madonna came out again, once again, on TikTok with a garter, replicating that Christina Britney show. But Taylor also had that blue
Yeah.
garter, which is how the king came out in the 70s, was with a blue garter belt or garter. So I do think Madonna's like deeply, deeply connected to all of it. And maybe it's just a
Right.
coincidence that she directed that film. I don't think it is. I keep coming back to the thing,
Probably
one of the
not.
last things that Wallace said about the experience of being married to a closeted king was, you have no idea how hard it is to tell a good love story. That's like her final,
Mm,
those are her final words to the earth. Like, Jesus, I feel, I don't know, man. I'm glad I just like live in a little black box in the internet and that nobody needs to know the details of
right?
my life like that. I feel it's
Yep.
horrible. There's so many horrible existences on this earth, and I think a lot about how we are in a cultural reckoning with an existence that we thought was good and desirable is actually as hellacious as some of the worst atrocities that humans inflict upon one another.
Yep. And that's, yeah, indicated by,
And that's
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
A woman in trouble,
And
David Lynch.
that's Saturn, Neptune conjoined in Aries for you, baby.
Oh, say more. Is that happening now-ish? What does that
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, that's happening. That's kind of like the signature of the entire year, but it's highlighted
Mm.
by all this other stuff in Aries right now.
So
That
what
has,
does that mean? Like what is it,
well, it
what's
means
the
like
effect?
it means like the dissolution of a dream, or like the harsh realities behind
Mm.
an idealized structure. Like exactly what you were saying, like, oh,
Oh
we thought
yeah.
this would be good, and like actually this is horrible, and like everyone thought they wanted to be like aspire to be a billionaire, and it turns out all billionaires are horrifically evil. And like, or
Yeah.
traumatized, or it's just like, like that used to be so the goal of like this hyper capitalized society. And so it's like, oh, like really revealing that the emperor has no clothes kind of thing.
Mm.
And then trying to re-envision other structures. And it's just kind of, yeah, like the whole thing falling, the whole thing like dissolving. So, you know.
All I can envision is the Barbies I had in the 90s that were like girl boss core, you know?
Yeah.
And wow, we've been on a journey the last 30 years.
Yeah. We've been on a journey. Oh, I was thinking about that because we have this is a saga that's going on in my life where my brother decided to finally digitize our home videos.
Oh.
So we are watching, which is a whole other thing, which I've been trying to do forever, and somehow I couldn't do it, and somehow he was able to do it. So
Mm.
I was like, oh God. But yeah, so it's just funny. But it's so funny to watch these tapes because it's just like
Mm.
of us it's like 3 and 5, or like, and it's just like, oh my God, the 90s were like such a different time.
Such a different time. Such like sometimes my
It's
mom
so
will say
crazy.
things that is like, "Oh, that's a remnant of like who you were in the 90s." Like, is that are you still no. All right. Like but that's I just think about how like, you know, white people in America are raised in a racist culture and you have to actively fight out of that. And the same is
Mm-hmm.
true of like all of the cultural paradigms, and so that my mom has worked really hard to like fight her way out of 90s transphobia, My mom is like the biggest
Yeah.
trans advocate and she couldn't
Yeah.
have a bank account when she was an adult. Like, and sometimes I think about the scope of that and I'm like, are you okay? Like, I can't even mentally process that.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's
that's
funny.
how time works, As you get
Well,
older,
and it
you
was
have the
just,
space.
yeah, and it
Mm.
was just like this halcyon. It was this very like the 90s were such like a halcyon moment, and it was just like 90s like upper middle class America, or upper or whatever middle class America in like
Mm.
the Northeast. And it was a very like still a very niche experience for a lot of the whole world wasn't like, oh, the 90s is like endless prosperity for sure. So it was like and it was like a sort of borrowing on the future, as we've just come to find out.
Truly,
But it
truly.
was just like thinking a lot about that, like instability or like as society is really truly like breaking down and like there are a lot of there was some post on Instagram or something that was just like it was about like we need to learn from like the whole American dream, it turned out to be a nightmare and all of that.
Mhm.
And like we need to learn from cultures that have already gone through apocalypses and like about how to like deconstruct that infinite growth mindset and be like, actually, we're not living in that paradigm. Like we were so like, living in that paradigm, kind of like, almost like in the Hunger Games and like the Capitol and all of that, of like
Mhm.
that whole like paradigm breaking of like, oh, I'm not just like a spoiled baby. And like, how do I not like I grew up as a spoiled baby kind of,
Right. Like
And
how
so
to
it's like, yeah, like how the other half lives, kind of that whole thing.
well, and it's just like, I don't know, that's the biggest change for me in the last like 2 years is that like I have never had access to a live streamed war,
Mm.
So like my ability to understand the scope of what happens in the world has drastically increased. And like I
Mm.
I also feel like this maybe is exacerbated in my one personal being because I lived in a rural area where I didn't have Wi-Fi or cell phone service for a long time. So
Mm.
it might be exacerbated for
Yeah.
that personally.
Yeah. I think
But
that's part of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, having witness to like the world and seeing that has like I think unfortunately functioned as a catalyst, or it's like unfortunate that that was like the
Yeah, well
impetus
that's
to
part
like
of
movement. Part of what?
well, yeah, that's part of why Suzanne wrote The Hunger Games was seeing the Iraq War being the first one being shown on television, which then it sort of got even more, intense and in our faces because we had TikTok and stuff, so we're seeing all of these horrific genocides going
Totally.
on all over the world, which is even more intimate than just being on C-SPAN or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it's just and then like yeah, thinking about that. I mean, there's so much. It's just like it was interesting to watch these from like my childhood and stuff because I was just like, oh my God, like it gives you, and that's part of what I was thinking about with black holes. I was like, there's some like positivity or warmth or like, how can I take the like my childhood innocence and like bring that nourishment back to my current self? And in a
Mm.
way, it like helps to break that paradigm of like me being, just the whole state of the world right now and everything. And, you know, I just feel like it's good to like shake your brain out of that paradigm of like, oh my God, there was a time when, then I wasn't overwhelmed by like 20 billion things happening.
Well, and
Or
also if it's true that I can go back right now and like speak comforting, like reparenting words
totally.
to the girl I used to be, still the girl inside of
I
me,
know,
as
I keep thinking about that today.
the
But it's
girl
more
inside
like
of
I
me.
need that girl's help,
Well,
which,
the thing I'm thinking about is that like yeah, if I can go back and like talk to them, I can also invite her to be like, "Yo, what would you do?" And
right.
also similarly true is that if that interaction is happening, I also believe that there is a world beyond my seeing and knowing that is coming back to this moment
Yes, totally.
to guide me in that.
Totally.
It makes me think of
Totally.
oh, Supler was talking about Glennon Doyle's like that inner knowing, that like sinking,
Mm,
that knowing you when you sink into yourself and it's like that's is that just my future self coming back to be like, baby girl, it's literally fine. Like we're like we made it through. Let's go.
yeah. I feel that way too. Yeah. Sometimes I have moments when I feel like that is happening to myself. It's like literally me from the
Hmm.
future being like, you're literally okay.
Yeah.
Uh, So,
May we
but
all experience more blessings of serenity from our future selves.
literally, I mean, it's tough. But yeah, because sometimes you get lost in the path. You get lost in the sauce. But that's yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
part.
I Oh, go. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say something. You go ahead. I was gonna say something that was more of a. I was just thinking about like
Go for
youth, like the return to youthful innocence in the context of tortured poets. But
it. Me too.
ah,
Okay, you say your thing and then I'll go.
I mean, I could go on forever because I feel like it's like the central thesis of the album of like the idea of like ending with like Robin and ending with like the manuscript, but specifically like Peter and Robin and getting back to that like that higher and lighter and
Mm,
wilder and faster and going back to even like folk seven and folklore of like I hit my peak at 7, like I knew everything when I was young and like getting back to that of like you know
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Oh, I think so much about that. Oh,
Oh, oh,
there's this like clip of I think it was like in a museum, like a home footage of Taylor climbing a
mm,
tree as like about a like 6, 7 year old. And I think about that often, like picture me in the trees, like yeah, like that's the person I want to evoke, you know? That person knew everything I needed to know about gender. It was literally
mm.
middle school that just like was like, "Oh, I can't fuck around with gender anymore." Like that's not cool. You know, that was like society. I knew everything I needed to know about myself. Really.
Literally, literally,
Oh, it's
you know,
wild.
and just
Like,
having that, yeah, having that yeah, I was watching this hilarious footage of me. We like used to go camp in Maine a lot at
mm,
Acadia National Park, and this hilarious footage of me and my brother like running around on a beach. And I'm like two and a half, so I'm like not walking. I'm like not it's very I'm just like kind of trundling along. And it's so cute.
yes,
It's
yes.
like the cutest thing, and I think I like had gotten spaghetti all over my clothes, so then I'm like wearing one of like my mom's shirts. And I'm just like in this giant pink polo, just like trotting around the beach, and it's hilarious. And I'm just like, I love.
Right, that's like the essence of like who I want to be is like a starry-eyed, wide-eyed, awe-filled like creature of the universe exploring the like majesty and
Yeah,
magic of the natural world and the
right?
love and communion with my family. Like, are you kidding me? That's it.
That's it. I'm gonna buy a giant pink polo and go back to Acadia.
You know? You
But,
know?
and it's just funny because I'm trying to get back that like sort of, yeah, as a give me back my girlhood or getting back to that innocence, innocent playfulness and like benefit of the doubt that I gave the world as a child, that gets hardened by life.
There is still beautiful things.
There are.
There's so
There
many
are.
beautiful things.
Yes.
Just thinking about you and like getting that like a giant pink polo now, you know, and like going back to Acadia
That would
and
be
thinking
funny.
about like this concept, what I was thinking about before is like if Taylor is like going back with torture poets and doing a lot of like writing to herself as
Yeah.
a child, I'm also imagining that she employs the practice of like future self writing where she is um like not necessarily like manifesting her like
Yeah.
self by writing in a way where it's like
Oh
I
yeah.
have returned to Acadia in my giant pink polo. You know, like it's already
Yeah.
happened. Writing about it in a
Right.
way that actualizes it, you know. And I have to
Well, it would
imagine
make
that
sense.
she would have that practice. But I've never looked at I don't think I've looked at her songs as like a in that she's because she doesn't really write about the future, but I think that some of her songs maybe should be analyzed about her writing about the future.
Right. Well, I mean, even she said that she's done that all the way back to Fearless because her writing Fearless she was literally manifesting like her perfect date that hadn't actually happened.
Mm.
And she was writing about this like ideal romantic scenario in her best dress, Fearless.
I love
Um,
when I reinvent Taylor Swift songwriting from first principles. Love that. But like, well, yes.
and I mean, she was, and yeah, she's always kind of, I mean, that came from her being, she had to sort of hide the fact that a lot of it was fiction, as Wallace said.
Right.
Hard to tell a love story. And she was able to say that because she was a teenager and she hadn't had these loves. And then the further she gets into adulthood, she kind of has to pretend that she's had these romantic experiences that she's writing about, which some of which I'm sure she has, but some of which I think is still like this narrative crafting of it's not the one-to-one autobiographical thing that we think. And then, I mean, I could think about her doing that. I mean, I think also she's like a deeply esoteric occult girly. So like that's just like being like making sigils, which we know she's made because a lot of there are so many sigils
So many sigils. Queer
and
fellow.
so many sigils. Queer
Sorry,
fellow.
I was sorry, that's my favorite
I
sigil
was
of
like
hers.
not following that lead.
Sorry, just jumped right there. In the Eyes Open music video, there's a sigil that looks
Right,
like
you
a
said that.
Q and an F, and well, it looks like a lot of things. And eventually, I centered on, I think, well, it could be a Q and an F, which references her MySpace post where she calls people queer fellows.
I didn't even know that
So,
one. Oh my
oh, the
God.
MySpace post?
I
That's
know
like,
that there
oh,
are,
yeah,
well, I
yeah.
know there are a lot. I mean, there were so many gay MySpace posts, but I didn't know that one.
Truly.
I didn't know that
Um,
one. But yeah, just the idea of, yeah, encoding, having multiple things going on and wondering, I always am like wondering about, I mean, it would make sense that, when you're at this level that people would get into these kind of more woo-woo, like esoteric things. Because I'm always just like, am I just like an esoteric historian? And that's like why I'm thinking, I'm like, clearly they know this. And I'm like, this is a very niche
yes.
occult sort of esoteric thing. And then I'm like, are they reading the same books that I'm reading? And I don't even really, I'm not hardcore. I just more like to read about it. But there is the thing, that whole thing of
Yeah.
like our words creating reality and language being powerful and language, structuring reality. So it's like if you're not going to do it, someone else is going to do it. So you may as well do it, So there's all of that. But
This is when Taylor said find another guiding light, I said, okay, I will. I will talk about other lesbians. And so I did. I recorded a whole episode about Liz Gilbert talking about like her creative process and artists and and
yeah,
then before I can even release the episode, I'm just like finishing up writing things and no, turns out Taylor has referenced this exact speech. A speech that has been a part of my life since it came out. Like it's a TED Talk. It's like,
yeah,
girly, this was my thing. You said find another guiding light. I said I have another guiding light. Let me talk about it. And then you commandeered it. Oh, girly. Oh, girly.
yeah.
Anyway, we're just out here. And that's the thing. It's like Liz Gilbert's not esoteric. Like maybe talking about
Right.
Damon's esoteric, sure, but that's like one
Well,
of the
yeah.
most watched TED Talks of all time. And
Right.
it's interesting that it hasn't brought about necessarily the cultural change that I hoped it would, which is what Liz Gilbert talks about in that if we continue to see artists as genius rather than
Right.
how we used to see them as people who were visited by creative powers, like this is what creates like a complex that tortures poets into having to depart. Wow, way to come full circle
Right,
with that.
came full circle with that.
Wrap around.
Literally, literally.
2 years with
Yeah.
tortured poets feels like a lifetime of being locked in a insane asylum with the best, craziest gaylers
I
I know.
mean, I mean, yeah. I
I wouldn't
have
have
this
it any other way.
I wouldn't either. I mean, I feel like if everything just stopped right now, I could just talk about tortured poets like literally for the rest of my life and be unpacking it. And
Correct.
that it's a constant effort to not just like devote my life to creating a tortured poets department.
I mean, it's not too late. It could
But
happen.
it could happen. But should it happen is the
Should
question.
it?
I
Should
mean, I
it?
have all my whole thing of Dante too, which I'm not even getting into. But I'm like have enough notes to like write a whole book about reading Dante's Purgatory through tortured poets, and I'm like, if I should be giving all of my life energy
I mean, that's
But
what I want to do.
it's so
I want
there.
to
It's crazy. It's crazy.
There's nothing that I would love to do more than to gather together in a remote, beautiful landscape with a bunch of other queer, Gaylor academic scholars and talk about tortured poets through the lens of Dante. I want nothing more. So you finish that curriculum and we will see each other there someday.
We'll
But I
start
get
the
it.
kick. Start the Kickstarter.
No, I'm inviting. Here's what my invitation is that Al, a good old friend of ours, goes back to the original Gaylor Fest presentations, was reposted by the cinematographer Rena Yang,
Yes,
who
Rena.
Taylor has worked with almost as much as Rodrigo Prieto, who's the cinematographer for Brokeback Mountain. But Rena reposted Al's tweet about how she came out and how like the process of making art with Taylor Swift and then her coming out and like telling her coming out story was just like so beautiful. And then Rena says, I love this community. And it's like, Rena, what community are you talking about? You know? Um,
Yes. Rena!
are you talking about this community? Anyway, all of that reminded me of the brilliance that Al had recorded in a at the conference. She had recorded something about Isadora Duncan, who was the protege of Loie Fuller, queer dancer, both of them, obviously. And Al reminded me that Isadora similarly was like, shall we start the Kickstarter? I want to revolutionize the world through teaching children to feel embodied in their dance and to trust themselves to know how to dance versus like learn the prescription of ballet. So she had this like radical world changing hope through dance. And she didn't know how she was going to finance it. And literally one day somebody was just like, yo, I'm a billionaire and I believe in you. Like, can I fund your stuff? So I am just inviting all the billionaires who listen to the Daydream Show. If you would like to see Alyssa and I teach Dante and tortured poets together, we can do that
You if you
for
feel
you.
see the peril that academia is in and you want to restart it, then be our guest.
911 CPR, be our guest, resuscitate academia. Like I
Resuscitate
tried.
the
We
humanities.
we worked at the universities that turned into hedge funds. So here we are. If you want the real university, baby, you found it. I'm so happy
We're
to be in the
out.
salon with you, Alyssa.
Yes, the salon is keeping us going, you
It
know?
truly is. It truly is. And
It's so fun.
I want to thank everyone who comes to Film Club and Cinema Society and Arts Forum and the other events that Wending Circles has, different workshops, because y'all are the salon. Y'all are the reason that we like get to hang out and chat and talk together. And so much generative ideas comes from those spaces. So thank you to everyone who makes that possible. And if you are like, whoa, this sounds fun, I want to get involved, you're invited. We invite everyone to come hang out. We are supported by the folks who are a part of that, but you don't need to contribute anything financially to try it out. If you like it, want to stick around and you're able, this is what we do. But if you want to join us, go to wendingcircles.com and you can get all the registration stuff there. And thanks for
And
being here.
like
Yeah.
and
What's
like
up?
you were saying that you found that article that proved that watching experimental film is the way to rewire your brain from being on the phone too much.
It's true. It's true. Yes. There was a study that was just put out about how experimental film helps like recreate the neural pathways to get rid of brain rot. Which is to say, I cannot believe that we went through this entire like show episode. And I didn't even talk about one of the coolest things that has ever happened to me and is the antithesis of brain rot in my mind. And a big reason why I like studying esoteric art through Taylor Swift, which, you know, a lot of people write off pop music, etc. But one of the one of the coolest things, one of the most unexpected things. Like, you know, when you like know what you're good at and know what you're not good at. Like, I'm not somebody who looks at the future and predicts things. That's not me. I'm not a predictor. But for some reason, I was really compelled to make some documentation of what I was looking at with tortured poets and like getting kind of like picking up the vibe for, so I made some predictions, and one of the predictions I made was that Patti Smith would be referenced on the album. And it was just cool. I had never had anything like that happen. And I was so gagged. And it's just funny to me that I was like thinking about what we were going to talk about today, and I was just like, oh, like, we did this and we did that, there's this torture poets, whatever. But it's funny that I just like forgot about that because there's just so much to discuss. But I did want to briefly say how I got to the prediction of Patti Smith. And it came in tailored in her Time interview in 2023 when she was talking about, she described rep as a goth punk moment of female rage, which a lot of people were like, that's not what rep is. Excuse me, like what are we talking about here? Um and so, when she says those like nonsensical things, it's like, let me look this up. And so I was looking at punk but poetry, and that there's really no one else on earth who is the punk rock poetress. That's Patti Smith. And then what kind of sealed the deal to make me want to put it officially was that her debut album Horses was a black and white cover with like the same percentage of her body showing more or less as Tortured Poets. Um, and it shares a release date with Reputation. So anyway, that was my little moment of Tortured Poets fun. And yeah, I just shout out to everyone who like knows and predicts things. It's so fun to see the people know what's happening. And yeah, thanks for listening to it. Share that one little moment of Tortured Poets that was
Just a
fun.
little bit. I mean, yeah. The whole thing about we're all just sort of one consciousness floating around, so no wonder
Yeah.
we're picking up on some of the same vibes for sure.
That's what I say. You just gotta tap in that Damon will visit you. I don't think that I like divined that. I just said like, let me show up and see what creative journey we can go on together, which was just the best. Just show up and go on a creative journey together. Well,
Yes.
thanks for yapping about all the things, Tortured Poets, Coachella, and
Ooh,
beyond. Who knows
always,
what we'll get into next time? Maybe
who
Hawking
knows?
radiation and black holes.
I mean, that was a whole other multiverse where I could have just talked about
Truly. The physics episode is coming. Just you wait.
the physics curriculum.
It's true. Well, we're going to switch over to our Zoom. If you are listening live and you want to come into the Zoom, you can come to the green room. And if you don't have a link, again, you can go to wendingcircles.com and find us there. But thanks for joining us live or listening to this episode through time and space. Future selves, past selves. We're all here together. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.